Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie Zamora. I am a student of UAT, and today we'll be talking about Project 4 Ownership and Creative Freedom. I prepare a presentation here that is going to allow us to see somewhat of the basic concepts, how to apply it to a particular project, and obviously put things in perspective. The first thing is obviously, what's the gamification goal? And I think, I've used the Working Out app, a concept, to really kind of lean on a lot of this concepts just because I think that virtual reality and working out, it's somewhat of a healthy approach for a lot of, I would say the holy grail of gaming, right? A lot of the whole thing is just, sitting down and playing. How can we kind of interact with a very interactive but yet good story behind, good immersion for a lot of our games, right? That's kind of why I wanted to, lead this. The biggest thing here is obviously work out like a pro. That's something that I'm somewhat like molding as far as the game. And, the biggest things with this particular two concepts that we're going to touch base on is really creating a sense of ownership by providing a customizable space. What I mean by that is a lot of these games I've noticed, and I play a lot of FIFA, FIFA 21, FIFA 20, and one of the things that I've realized is kind of, just really customizing your own space. FIFA 20 right now just launched, FIFA 21, I'm sorry, just launched a customization of your stadium. It's a soccer game, so literally like your lobby. And that's kind of where I wanted to kind of like dive into, being able to customize your hangout place before the game. Is important. It brings a little bit of ownership. It brings a little bit of more of a this is my place kind of situation. And it's been proven that you're more likely to feel comfortable and come back when you are the creator, when you're creating your own space and you create that familiarity. So that's something that I want to make. One of my goals is really kind of set the tone for this person that's about to work out to maybe customize their gym or like their locker gym, like really have a sense of like, okay, this is where I put my stuff. This is where I, change my skins. I've seen a lot of the recent game in VR that would just plays a Miro kind of scenario. So like you really gonna get, obviously you're kind of like in this lobby and you get to change your skins, but you're seeing the movement that you're doing and what it's gonna look like. So definitely we'll do something like that. So that way there's a sense of ownership in the whole, lobby or loading lobby. And then, one of the things that I would like to do is, obviously measure how many things have been customized. So, if I have a world or a loading lobby, if you may, with 100 possible customization items, it would be interesting to see how many, out of those 100 customizable items get actually customized, and what people really pay attention to might be the lighting, might be the obviously the frames or just the colors, what really all gets customized. So that's something that I really kind of want to dive into. Number two, I want to measure the frequency of use with customizable space, none. So I want to see perhaps have like two test groups where I open customization and then one that I do not open customization of the gym or loading world that I'm talking about to see the frequency of the player. So, test group number one, in a month, how many times they come to the game, how many times they play the game versus, test group number two, where you do allow customization of the gym, in a month, how many times they frequent? Is there more of a frequent, fly scenario if you allow customization versus none? And, kind of go from there. Be nice and interesting. And I think every game is different. A lot of people kind of get in and get out, sometimes, especially when we're working out, it's very unique. Some people I know, like there's gyms, there's the gym versus like going to a class like CrossFit, for example. You're there for an hour, and a lot of people just kind of, like that, right? They're very busy. They want to do it before work, and they want to know that to get in, get out. So it'll be interesting, kind of like how much hanging out there is going on in this type of games, and obviously the market share being there, like is this more of like the younger crowd that spends the more time customizing the loading lobby versus the older crowd that just don't and just kind of come out. So I think that's also, important that a lot of the intro, I would say, a lot of the intro of the game, or when you just get the game, the information happens, because a lot of these measures or like tests are going to be really, based on the market, right? Younger versus, older. And I think it's so important when we're playing these games. I think a lot of games do that, to be honest, already. It's only when you look at this kind of concept that you really understand why. And obviously, after that, you see the after effects. Number three is, the currency inside the game to measure objective completion. So I just want to introduce a currency, somewhat of like a token or coin you get for completing objectives. So, obviously I want to measure, if I introduce this, once again, test group number one versus test group number two, no currency versus currency, if there is an increase of objective completions. So maybe, one of the objectives is to spend 5 or 10 extra minutes, after the session is done. So like if you're doing a class of working out and then there's a bonus 5 minutes extra to earn, 10 extra coins or 10 coins, how many people will stay the extra 5 minutes to complete that? And then obviously once you kind of monetize it or currency on it, obviously we can build in upon, unlocking worlds or unlocking templates or unlocking skins. So definitely want to do that. And this, that's kind of the gamification goal here, which is being able to measure, customization, being able to measure, frequency on the game, and then also being able to measure the increase of objectives completion. So as we dive into this a little further, we talk about ownership. And ownership, in this particular concept of working out like a pro, game simulation that I'm working with, once again, I touched base in the beginning, it's more of a gym personalization. So being able to, personalize your gym or your locker gym, which is kind of a concept that I'm kind of working with. I've seen it in other games where, you really kind of, especially in VR, places like Alt Space or big screen or anything like that, you really kind of get this before you go in and do something kind of where you get to customize your apartment, you get to customize, your location, and obviously gives that sense of ownership. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to do that with the gym. I think locker gyms are unique, or like you're loading, screen to work out. So whether it's your gym or a locker, I think would be interesting to kind of see that. Another thing that I wanted to touch base on was currency to unlock new skins. I've seen that a lot on VR, and the stickiness is pretty impressive to see. For example, I was just in an Alt Space event where it was a Christmas event, and a lot of people were wearing Christmas skins, right? So like your hat and your sweater, and they were super proud to show it off, right? And you could tell every time you ask an avatar or a user, hey, or you compliment in a particular skin, it's just like, an immediate interaction to talk more, or just more of an openness. So, I think there's something to be said as far as being able to customize your avatar as your own. So there's the personalization of your surroundings, and then there's the personalization of your own avatar, which, I think as we move forward in, VR and gaming, I think that the avatar is becoming a thing, So Bitmoji on phones and why not kind of really started that, commercialized cell phone industry kind of scenario where like everybody has a cell phone, but then it's also migrating to gaming, and currency. I think, it's interesting because it's all about who has the currency, but once you have the currency is what do you do with the currency? And I think the unlock of skins and, unlock of clothing and, little things that you could do to your hair, why not? It's really a powerful customization, ownership concept that is well applied, when it's used properly. And build from scratch, loading lobbies before working out, invite your friends. So that's something that I kind of wanted to touch base on. I think Destiny does it very well. And one of the coolest things that I've saw was in Destiny when I first got Destiny. And we used to get so excited when my friends and I we used to play was in the loading screen. The three ships that if we were playing with three people, three ships will show up, and we were not playing. You don't get to play or anything like that, but obviously you're loading and you're talking to people, but you're also commenting on the ship and why not. So I think it'll be really cool for this, work out like a pro scenario where like you can actually, hey, let's go, if I have a friend and I want to invite him to go work out with me, as the game is loading, bring them over my gym that I just customized, and look for that almost like that compliment, that they get. And I think like once you get a compliment, or even being able to compare, oh, that's what your gym looked like. Oh, look, my gym looked like. You know what I mean? And then like just being able to compare, and I wouldn't say bragging rights, but yeah, like bragging rights. If you can hang your badges, you can hang completed objectives, and they're displayed. I think it really starts bringing some of like that black belt, kind of concept within karate that like you hang the belts and like, wow, I got so many belts, right? So I think that ownership concept really, it's powerful, and it brings that this is mine and my own, and I'm definitely building to customize this even better. And I know a lot of games are doing it. So super impressive what we can do with just simple concepts of ownership and creative freedom. It's an interesting concept, like this is something that kind of goes hand in hand with customization, but it also allows us, to really kind of dive into some other things with our gamification, and what I mean by that is more of the control of your gaming experience and what is expected. So I know in class we touch a lot on Grand Theft Auto and the open worldness, but obviously being able to somewhat carry the storyline, but also giving you that feel of openness, right? That feel of choice. And I think we touch base that you can't really choose to be a carpenter or like just play the game as a carpenter or just like develop a career. No, you're gonna be a criminal from the beginning, and the task, although they seem very free to do whatever you want, you're still kind of like a criminal, right? In Grand Theft Auto, it's just that you do criminal choices, but still kind of drives you towards the overall concept and purpose of the game. So on any working out app like I'm the one describing, it's a little bit different because there's not it's not too crazy of a storyline, but also want to give the choice. And I think difficulty on level choosing is quite right over there. You're playing the game. But maybe today you're gonna just you're gonna take you can take it light, or you can increase it the level of difficulty, right? So I've done this already in some of the workout apps that I have. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna slow it down. I'm gonna introduce myself to like more maybe stretch, right? And maybe the next session that I do after 15-20 minutes, I'm gonna increase the difficulty, and it gives me a sense of control, give me a sense of maybe I want to start backwards. Maybe I'm like, hey, I'm going to start hard and, then kind of build from there. So it gives me that freedom of choice within my game. Things like, compete versus training. You can also choose between, hey, you know what, today I'm not gonna focus too much on the combos and that I'm gonna do or the scoreboard or anything. Like maybe I eliminate those, from the world, meaning like, hey, there's no going to be a time, a time limit. I just take away that time, tracker. And I also take away the ranking, leaderboard. I take those away from the world, and we're going to keep it as a training, somewhat of a level. So versus, hey, I want to compete. Like I want all competing. I want to track everything. I want to compete against the next person next to me. And then that's when you start seeing people online next to you that are, obviously, working out with you. And then you see the ranking kind of going. And then you just like, you're there to win. You're not there to train. So like giving those choices, it's definitely some of a freedom and you get, obviously that creative freedom concept that you get control on the game, but you're still doing what the game, you're not there to paint, you're there to work out in some shape or form. So I think that's interesting. And then the unlocking concept I think is very important, and I think as you complete objectives, being able to unlock other environments where, for example, like it's cool to have an apartment, but how cool to have a penthouse, right? Or you can still do the things that you do in your environment and your surrounding, but and once you customize it, what if they present you with, hey, but what about a template in next to the beach, right, with a better view? Would you take it, right? Would you work towards that? And I think the unlocking effect has that capability for people. I've done it, So, like example for FIFA, for soccer, you can unlock certain players if you meet certain objectives, and you can, and it's motivational. They gamify really well, to unlock certain things. Or you can unlock, for example, a certain stadium that is, limited edition, and you got so many things to kind of do that. So you can choose not to do it, right? Or you can choose to purchase it, right? You can spend your coins, or you can complete objectives and then unlock that way, right? So I think that in this, working out as a pro, unlock new templates for gyms, I think would be interesting. I think it could be really cool if you could do that, and it would motivate the user to complete, maybe out of their element, scenario. So I've noticed that, for example, there's some games that have really, really, really cool subdivisions of the game. So in FIFA, very simple, and I reference FIFA a lot because I play FIFA a lot, but FIFA Ultimate Team is a subdivision within the game. And then they just recently in 2020, the edition, they came out with this game. It's called Street Soccer, and it has another subdivision within the game, but it didn't have as many audience, as many people playing it as they wanted to. And I started noticing that within FIFA Ultimate Team, which is the game that I play the most for FIFA, I started seeing challenges that said, hey, go to the street soccer section of the game, play XYZ challenges, and we would give you, this skin within the one that you do play. So it really kind of opens up, and motivates you to go try different things for within the game. And, I think that opens gamers the possibility of something they might like, that just haven't given it the time day to try it. So unlocking the new templates or unlocking concept allows the freedom to kind of flow in creativity, but at the same time, we're all also controlling the direction of where I want my user to go and what I want them to go to. So very cool, very interesting, and obviously things that are put in perspective for our game. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. Thank you much for listening, and if any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you.